So this is episode 61, and we're just randomly talking about anything.
Yeah, that's basically it.
So I guess we're going to start with the Dead Tide show at Dingbats.
Ooh, let's do that.
All right. Dingbats, shithole in New Jersey. Awesome
It's not
people
that bad.
I know, it's not that bad. I'm just joking. At least the sound guy is awesome. Have you met that guy that they call him Freak? Yeah.
Yeah, Freak's awesome.
I never heard his nickname until after this show. So I wonder why he got the nickname now.
Well, he did the sound for the TFL headliner there.
Really?
But we still didn't know his name then.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to know what? Actually, there used to be a guy that was before him called Sarge. And I'm sorry to say.
What's with these fucking nicknames?
I don't know. No, I think that was actually his real name.
Sarge?
Yeah.
Was he a sergeant in the army?
Probably not.
Oh, then that shouldn't be your real name.
Exactly. But dude, he actually was a really, really good sound engineer. If I could go back to like my older videos of my previous band, Subject to Failure.
If I can turn back time.
I know. And I don't know if Autobiography of Man played there when this guy was there. Freak was definitely not the sound engineer there, but dude, I'm telling you, the sound was fucking mint.
Really?
Dude, it was amazing. I loved playing there, and now I'm just, I don't know, maybe it can't, because my recorders have gotten so much better, and for some reason you just don't hear the sound the way that they came through back then, you know? But I mean, I don't know if that's what happens with sound equipment when it gets older or whatever, but
I'm guessing. I'm not a sound expert.
hey, but at least they're upgrading their, to LCD TVs, instead of the blocks that they still have some though, I think.
Shit, I still didn't even check that out.
Really?
I was barely over by the bar. I was watching the bands the entire time.
Well, dude, right by the merch tables, there's a TV that advertises all their upcoming shows and shit.
Oh yeah, that's right. The one that that was Sarah that bumped into.
Yeah. No, because they didn't have any of that shit there before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like the tube TVs that they had up in the bar, which was like 12 inches, and you could barely see the football game that's happening.
Yeah, I don't. For some reason, I feel like they're still there, but then I'm thinking about it, and I don't know, because I definitely know around the outside of like that frame of the bar up top, there's LCD TVs, but inside, like inside the frame, like if you were sitting and watching the other end, I think those are still the old box TVs.
Jesus Christ!
What do you even call those?
I
just describe them box because this is what it looks like.
Well, they're called tube TVs.
Tube. There we go. All right.
Yeah, but that's the problem. I don't think there's a tube in them. They're like a couple inches bigger than the handheld ones. You remember the handheld ones, right?
No.
Were you ever fortunate to have one?
I don't think so. You
Bitch,
mean like a DVD player?
No. This was an actual television, but you only got like the basic channels.
No, I never had one of those.
Cable, but it went like by the antennas, the bunny ears. Mm-hmm. It went like that, and you had to like move them a certain way, and maybe you could get another channel. Like I'm really going back to like the 1970s and 80s, like right before cable.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was born in the 90s, so I didn't have that shit.
I was born in the late 80s, but I remember my grandmother had one of those antenna TVs.
Yeah. I'm thinking about when I was a kid, dude. We went all out with like entertainment, even though it's nowadays it seems like nothing, but dude, I had a freaking TV, which is funny. I had a 13-inch Daewoo. Dude,
oh my God.
Remember they made cars?
Yeah.
Daewoo. I don't even know what the hell happened to them, but my parents probably bought it from like, it's like a brand that you would buy from A&P or a like ShopRite.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I had a 13-inch Daewoo TV. I had one of those. I had a wall mount that like swiveled. I put my TV on there, like strapped on top of it, sat on like the metal, and you can tilt it and move it. And then I had my VCR underneath it.
Look at you.
And I had like a bunk bed, and the bunk bed only had one bed on top, and underneath it had like a computer desk. So I went like all out. Had my drum set in my room.
Oh, so
you
went like dorm room.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But dude, it was like all out every Christmas. So I'd get all this shit. And I'm so pissed that I spent all my money when he got it from Christmas, because now none of that shit I ever use, and I'm like, I could just so use the money right now in my savings.
Yeah, really.
I could have used it for a better car,
Yes, well,
at least if I ever had a kid, I know the two things I would do is force them to play a music instrument and force them to save their money.
But Daddy, I don't want to play the drums. Motherfucker, you're gonna play them.
Unless we want to play the skin flute. But no, I don't know. I wouldn't force them, but I would definitely like
Encourage it.
encourage it to the point where they probably would be like, all right, I'm gonna fucking play this shit.
So you'd be like my father with sports with me.
Yeah, I would do that. I would do it with sports too. I mean,
Eh,
not for
it's
nothing. It's not like I want them to play sports, but more for like the exercise. You
Oh,
know,
absolutely, yeah.
because now I'm. You realize when you're older, like shit. You know, when I was a kid, that's all I did was run around and play sports, and I was much healthier. You know, I would say I'm skinnier now, but that's also because I ate a lot of freaking junk food.
Yeah, you were a junk foodaholic.
Yeah, I still kind of am. I have to I have a food addiction because of it.
Oh, stop.
No,
Food
seriously.
addictions are all in your head, man.
No, dude, it is definitely not.
It's because you use it as a vice. It's like smoking. Smoking is all in your head.
Mhm. Well, actually, you
Bec-
know, yeah, but the only reason I differ is because, or I disagree is, when I went back to I'm like probably like 160, 170. I used to be 185, and that's when I was like a 36-inch waist. But dude, when I went down to 139, dude, I literally could eat just like a couple handfuls of spinach with lettuce for lunch and be satisfied. I could go to like Applebee's and eat like an appetizer or something and just be like, that didn't taste good. Or go to Wendy's and be like, I could see why I'm not eating this crap anymore. It just doesn't taste good. And
Yeah.
now getting back hooked on that shit for a while and gaining the weight, it's totally like you eat Wendy's, you're like, holy crap, this is amazing. And Applebee's, you can't. It's just I feel since I went through that, I can almost hands down say it was you get addicted to that shit after a while.
I agree to a point.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you're filling a void with food. There's something that, makes you happy with your food. And it's not like in the process of eating it. Maybe it is. Maybe it's like the taste of it reminds you of, let's say, a better time or something like that. But I honestly think if you trick your brain to say, okay, vegetables are great, gyms are great, being healthy is great. If you could trick your brain to do that and stay away from, any kind of junk food, I think you'd have a six pack.
Yeah, the one. Well, I would say I wouldn't have a six pack, but the one thing I do agree with you on is back then. I mean, like it's what all freaking studies. I mean, dude, it all depends on the variables, but I was going to the gym 3 to 4 days a week. I mean, sometimes two, but I'm sure you've had a time, and there's a lot of people out there that have that. You're starving, but you decide to go to the gym anyway, and you get out of the gym and you're not hungry anymore.
Yeah, because it's your body feeding off of what's in your stomach.
Exactly. Yeah, you're like eating fat and whatever.
Yeah, well, basically you're burning fat as fuel.
All right, so let's we got a little off topic, so back to the Dingbat show.
The first of many.
Yeah. If you're still listening now, you're probably going to listen to the end of the episode.
Yeah, might as well. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah. We appreciate it.
Yes.
But so I mean at Dingbats, dude, I can't even tell you how many. There was probably like 5 bands. Dead Tide being one of them, my band.
Well, yes, the Dead Tide did play.
And Incite, which I'm still confused as to what type of band they are. They're not local?
No, they're from Phoenix.
So they're from Phoenix and they're a touring, like signed, have a record label and everything?
I want to say they are signed. I'm not too sure to who off the top of my head, but they are signed.
I mean, that's the second time we played at Dingbats. All the bands beforehand play that house kit, and it looks shitty. Yeah. And then the last headlining band comes on, there's nobody there, and their kit is just like amazing looking. Like they have the awesome heads, double bass. The last show we played, there was a nasty. I paid attention to the drummer most of the times, but the nasty freaking metal drummer playing like fast, like 30-second notes and blast beats and all this shit. And just
who is this?
I don't do. I can't tell you the last the band name, but they had like normal, like rack, 2 bass drums, a whole shitload of cymbals, and he just tore it up. But
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it sucks to be them. That after like you did pretty decent crowd, not more than 50 people, but pretty decent crowd. For all the local bands, and then this headlining band, there's nobody there.
Yeah, it also depends on who's headlining too. I mean, Incite would have been great as maybe a main support act,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think they were pretty much banking on the fact that the lead singer, I think his name is Richie Cavalera,
Mhm.
is the stepson of Max Cavalera of Cavalera Conspiracy and
Oh,
Soulfly.
really?
Yeah. So I think that's what they were kind of pushing because that's if you looked at the Dingbats website, it said Insight featuring Richie Cavalera.
Mm. Well, I
So
guess
maybe
it didn't
they're
work. No
well,
offense.
no offense to them, but I mean, like I think he was like one of the original vocalists, if not the original.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if it was like 3 Years Hollow or Oh Sleeper, there'd be a, a better crowd. Obviously, most of the people would be going for them.
yeah,
You know, and obviously
but
you get more people to come to your show if you're opening for Oh Sleeper. You know, not, who around here has heard of Insight? I didn't.
I have actually.
Well, no, that's you're like congratulations on Insight, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was like playing with another Dead Tide. You know.
no. These guys are legit,
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's
and they
Cavalera's
were great
stepson,
live, dude. They were fucking phenomenal.
yeah, I wish I could have stayed, but I don't know.
Yeah, you had a long trip home.
Yeah. Well, it was not that long. It's like 25 minutes, but still. Then I had to pack up my drum shit in my bag because I left the bag in the venue, and the band that was after us went on already. So I just took all the cymbals loose, put it in my car. So I had to pack those in my bag and then drag everything in my house and get ready for bed and all that shit. And obviously I had to wake up early in the morning, which still Sunday shows, dude. Sunday shows suck. Because
They
obviously
are
most
yes,
people don't want to come out because it's a Sunday.
yeah. That's the worst part about it. Like usually Sunday shows, like they start earlier. They start at like 4 or 5 o'clock,
Mhm.
and like the headliner goes on at like 9 instead of it was like what about maybe 10ish that Incite went on.
Well, I think I left at 10:30, so around then,
Yeah,
almost 11.
yeah, and I think I stayed. There was like 2 songs left of Incite, and obviously I had leave since it was a Sunday night. But I think I left around like 11:15. So
Hmm.
I don't know. They put on one hell of a show. Fucking they sounded like they sounded great. I was very surprised. I thought it was going to be another like a shit show because like you see like a lot of acts, come on stage thinking they're hot shit and they're like, all right, you know what? It's a Clifton crowd. There's maybe like 10 people in the audience. Fuck this place. I'm just gonna do it myself. And then you see that you're like, oh, this is terrible. Let's all walk out. But like they had the crowd moving. They had a crowd of I'd say about 15 people were still left in there, and they just went fucking ape shit.
Hmm. Could you imagine if you were touring as like a band and then the venue you show up to and you play for 15 people? Like,
Yeah, that's called almost every single band. Like
I, I
starting out.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's they would know like, oh, we're playing this small venue in Clifton, New Jersey on a Sunday night that there's going to be less people there.
Yeah, I mean it was an off date to so I think they were main support to some band I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was an off date headlining show for them.
Mhm.
So I mean I think they just went for the money to be honest with you. I mean who wouldn't?
Mhm.
But you know
I was actually going to ask, do you know how like they give you, all right, so the tickets for that show are $10. They
yeah
give you $2. Now, normally, if it's a local show at Dingbats, even the headliner gets $2. Do you think Insight got more than that? Do you think they got like $5 a ticket or something?
no they got a guarantee.
Oh, really?
That's no doubt in my mind they had some sort of guarantee.
Oh, really? Because we just got contacted by this guy that's played some shows with us. He wants to rent out Dingbats, and it's $400.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you
It's
rent
not too
out.
bad actually.
I mean, if you split it between 5 bands, $400, it's less than $100 a piece. At 10 tickets, they'd have to spend. If you sold 20 tickets, which is not that bad,
Yeah.
they're making more. They're making double their money. So
Yeah, but then again, if you were the headlining band or the band like renting it out, you'd eat the 400 and then make the other acts buy tickets.
yeah.
So that way you could either make your money back or maybe actually make some money on it, depending on who you get.
Hmm.
But that's just my theory. That's how I look at the music business and the touring and the shows and live concerts and shit like that.
Mhm. So when you're a self-promoter, you spend $400 to hold a show?
Either that, or you could come up with a guarantee with the venue. Be like, hey, listen, you know what? Instead of me paying out $400, I can guarantee you 50 people. Something like that, or 50 ticket sales. I heard that, Dan.
You did?
Yes, I did.
It's all right. It might not pick it up in the recording because the noise gate.
Yeah, that's true. But anyways, you could do a guarantee of 50 tickets. If you don't get up to 50 tickets, or let's say you get 35 or 40 or something like that, the actual promoter of the place or the owner of the place can just not work with you again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's still making money on it, and he's not going to be a dick about it. And it's just advanced ticket sales. That's the main key to places like Dingbats.
Well, I mean, that's another thing too, is when you're a promoter, you're not going to pick, a random kid band. You're going to want to pick people that are going to sell tickets, or at least try to. But
yeah, or maybe they get the tickets. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, dude, knowing the bands that we've been in and how hard people try to sell tickets, being a promoter must suck.
Yeah, I mean, I see both sides of it. I see how difficult it is for a promoter, but it's also difficult on the bands. It's like, okay, well, here, I have a Sunday slot for Dingbats, and you're going to open up for Incite, and you're like, okay, who the fuck's Incite? Unless you're me, who knows a lot about music, then you're like, holy shit, this is awesome. But that's the thing, unless they're in like a name brand band, you're not selling that many tickets. Like, we're not talking about like an Alien Ant Farm or a Trapped over here. You're talking about someone who, really passed their prime, but it's tough. In the end, it's just difficult.
Mm-hmm. If you're playing at a place like the Clash Bar in Clifton or Dingbats in Clifton, the venue still makes out because, all right, so if you're supposed to if most shows it's 20 tickets, dude, come on, I'm sure 5 members could sell 10 tickets. So if you have 4 bands, that's, 4 at $10 a piece. All right, so the band sells each ticket $10. They sell 10 tickets, that's $100. 4 bands, it's $400. So Clifton makes their money back. Most likely, they're going to make the $400, and then they also have a bar. So
that's true. Yes.
I mean, Dingbats always has like 5 like stragglers, people that just went to Dingbats to drink and hear music.
Yeah.
So, and then they do food sometimes from Dingoes. I don't know how that works.
Well, aren't they owned by the same people?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I guess they just have the kitchen over there, and then they just transport it across the street.
Yeah.
I never had Dingo's food. Any good or?
Yeah, it's just typical bar food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're doing a place like Architect, which doesn't do shows anymore, or rarely does shows, there's nothing there. I mean, you could get like a Gatorade or a slice of pizza, but you're just going there for music.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have the people that are going there for alcohol or food. I mean, except for a pizza, piece of pizza. I don't even know if they do that all the time because they don't make it themselves. They have to go across the street.
Oh yeah, but
did you see the new location for Architect Music in Glen Rock or Glen Ridge or whatever?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, they opened it up, and it was funny. This didn't bring up our conversation a couple of days ago, but they did like drone footage.
Yeah,
but it's an interesting location. I didn't get to see all of it. I didn't really spend that much time or pay that much attention, but there's 2 garage-like doors. So you see the outside of the building, and in front of it is a garage door on the left and a garage door on the right, and it opens up to Architect Music. So it's interesting. And the whole building is white too, with their logo, which is kind of prep school logo style, like Harry Potter logo for each like house.
The same logo as the one next to your house.
I think so. You know how their logo was like that A?
Yeah.
This one's like the kind of the A, but prep school logo.
Like a script A?
Yeah. No, not like a script A. Do you get what I'm talking about? You know, like the houses of Harry Potter, like Gryffindor,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
they
yeah.
have like that. It's like that. It's the
Oh,
old,
that old timey English type of deal.
yeah, the Architect A with like
Yeah.
that design in the background. You know,
Oh, all
but
right.
it's weird to see that it's a white building since this one's not really like that. You know,
Interesting.
but the setup is still the same, which kind of bums me because the rooms are a little small. You know, have you ever seen those?
What, an architect?
Yeah, the lesson rooms. They're just
Yeah, 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 I have.
it's like a closet.
Yeah, basically.
They're more or less it's like a closet, and you practice it. But you would think that you would get a new location and the rooms would be bigger, but it's basically the same thing.
Wow.
But it's cool because honestly, Architect, if it was bigger, I mean, it still is one of the nicest local venues to play at, which is sad because it's not around. You know, they're not holding normal regular shows there anymore. But
Yeah, yeah, of course.
for how clean it is, it's one of the nicest places in New Jersey. And it's a shame it closed down because that's like one of the places you could feel comfortable about inviting anybody to the show. Your grandmother, your mother, your friends, your family. Like you're not going to be inviting them to, let's say, the Meat Locker and feeling disgusted if you're
Yeah.
inviting them to Architect.
Yeah, that's true.
The only issue is it's small and the sound. I'm sure they have good quality stuff, but everyone always complained about the sound quality in Architect. Maybe it was because it was such a tiny place, but I mean, still for the cleanliness, that was one of the nicest places. I loved playing there for that reason and because it was close to me, obviously. But
Yeah. It was a solid place, but
but
anyways,
the recording studio too is nice. I don't know if you ever went in there.
aren't there like 3 recording studios in there?
No,
Or is
there's
it
just
the
one.
one?
It's just one.
Okay.
There's the control room where I think that's where people like sit and record their guitars.
Yeah, yeah.
They have like a vocal booth somewhere, and then it's just like an open room, which is kind of odd. They have like an open room for where they set up the drums.
Huh, all right.
But
So it's basically like where's the place we record our album? Back room.
yes, kind of. Yeah, just
Okay.
obviously a different layout, but yeah,
Well, yeah.
because you can like walk in and out of the room. It's not like a closed off place for so obviously the sound wouldn't be as good, but I mean a lot of it. Seven Dust recorded their album there. Candlelight Red, I think 3 Years Hollow recorded there too.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
All great bands.
Absolutely.
All right,
But anyway, how was the show on Saturday?
dude, it was pretty good. Well, I'm telling you, I was gonna actually discuss this with you. Do you think that they're having all these bands play there to attract buyers for the Stanhope House?
That's a good question. I don't know. Or maybe just to delay the inevitable, perhaps.
Maybe. But I mean, for anybody that doesn't know, we're going to have these interviews up probably before this or after this. I don't know. But anyway.
Well, it's... Oh, wait a second. We're on... No, it's going to be after this.
It's after this. All right. So we'll have
Yeah.
the interviews up after this. I went to the Stanhope House in Stanhope, New Jersey, obviously.
Whoa, it's in Stanhope. Wow.
I know, right? To interview a local band, Seas of Wake, that's kind of on the same, along the same lines of Dead Tide. I don't know about style, but as far as popularity, except they're a little bit more popular, which is crazy. I brought up the question. You've been interviewed with Metal Injection, Rolling Stone. You have music videos. I was like, why are you still a local band? Why aren't you signed? You have talks of being signed, and they were just like, just because of the metal industry and the metal community, it's just hard to, I guess, break through there. But so we interviewed Seas Awake, getting off topic again, and
Not really. You're on the topic.
yeah, I know, but and then Darkness Divided, which is a signed touring band that was the
Victory Records. Yep.
They were the main supporting act of the tour, correct?
They were the openers of the tour.
Yeah, and there was 11 total bands. I think
Holy
Wovenwar
shit.
was the 8th band to play, and they were the Darkness Divided went before them. So
Yes.
Darkness Divided was 7th, Wovenwar was 8th, and then the main acts, Unearth, Soilwork, and Battlecross came in after. But I'm telling you, if anybody sees a local show that's going to play at not a local show, but sees a show that's going to be at the Stanhope House and it's a Trapped or it's a Unearth, highly suggest going, because the coolest thing was you show up there. You don't even have to show up there that early, and all the band members of the bands are like standing outside doing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we had to show up early for interviews, but the lead singer of Wovenwar was by his trailer doing dumbbell curls.
Oh, Jesus. Enough of these bands lifting.
Well, I mean, dude, actually, to be honest, I understand it, because, I mean, dude, if you're trying to stay fit on the road, dude, there's really no way of doing it. So that's their...
Dude, it was like the Trap Tour manager who was taking like the
yeah,
gate.
but that was different. That was him just being a freaking loser, to be honest. I mean, laying on the ground, lifting up the trailer bed, whatever you call that, ramp.
Yeah, that was something.
Acting all cool. But they actually had dumbbells, and there was someone else curling with him. But anyway, so they were by the trailer, and which was actually kind of disappointing to see, because Wovenwar, which is members of As I Lay Dying, seeing them touring in a van with a trailer, U-Haul trailer attached to it, it was kind of disheartening, because they came from a band that toured in a tour bus, and obviously As I Lay Dying was one of the biggest
metalcore bands out there.
Exactly. And to see, and I was, after talking, I saw Josh in the parking lot, and introduced myself and all that stuff, and we were just talking for a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, is this what you normally tour around in?" And he says it's half and half. They either sleep in the van, which dude, it's gotta suck, or they rent a hotel. So half and half, I guess that's not so bad. But I mean, dude, honestly, sleeping in a van that just has benches for seats,
Oh yeah, it completely sucks.
But I mean, at one end, it completely sucks. But if you're hanging out with your friends all day and fucking around, and you're doing what you love, I mean, I guess that's worth it, and that's what another thing that we were discussing. But that's actually one thing I didn't know, that I guess if he said that if you're like Five Finger Death Punch, you see in all the music videos, Five Finger has their own bus. It's got their decals on it. He said that you still rent that, even though it has your
absolutely,
your detail on it. So he said it's like usually like $1,000 a tour, I think.
No, it can't be that. It can't be that little.
All right, something for
maybe 10,000.
Maybe, but anyway, and you still have to. So you have to rent the tour bus, and then you have to obviously maintenance it with gas and
all and
that
a driver.
Shit. Yes, and the driver you got to pay for. So it's funny. That's just doing all this stuff. It's a lot of things that you wouldn't be aware of that bands have to pay for. It's not just, and everyone thinks it's so glorious being on a record label, but when you get a record deal, it's like going to the bank and saying, I want $100,000 loan. They pay for the tour bus, they do your music, they do all that, but you got to pay it back.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I mean, dude, like I said, if there's a show there and you're kind of on the fence about it, I highly suggest going. It was awesome, seeing all the members of the bands hanging outside, even with, like a little bit before their set. That all the bands shared Wovenwar's Jordan Mancino's drum kit, but before they even went on, he's sitting out there setting up his stuff, and his kid's just sitting there on the side of Stanhope House, the venue. The kids, it's just sitting there, and they're setting it up, and Battlecross's drum set in the parking lot. Dude, it was sick. And even you could hear it in the Darkness Divided interview. You can hear him running through the kit and tuning it and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty funny,
dude. I'm just sitting down, chilling with Sarah. I see Buzz McGrath, the guitar player from Unearth, just walking by, and of course I'm like, yeah, fucking Unearth. And dude, every single member that I met. One of the Soilwork guitarists, he seemed he was all about getting chicks and stuff, but every other metal band member that was there, they were all cool as shit.
Nice, man. Nice.
Most notably, Josh and Nick of Wovenwar, previous members of As I Lay Dying. Dude, Nick, he's sitting there getting a beer at the beer garden at Stanhope, and then I just walk up to him and we're like, oh, can we get a picture? Dude, he was like, yeah, thanks for coming. He was all like, cool. Dude, it was just like, he was so open and so nice. And even when we were leaving, like, he was walking out that side door, and I'm like, oh, great set. And he's like, oh, you're leaving? he looked like generally concerned, and just a lot of these bands, like Justin Bieber, who get like he could give a shit. We were talking about him not showing up and having a cardboard cutout of himself.
Yeah.
It's just cool. And obviously, when everyone thinks of metal, like killing each other, he thinks all these people are assholes or whatever. And it's totally untrue. They're the complete opposite. And they're like the nicest people.
Yeah. I mean, there are some dickheads in metal, but, for the most part.
And like I said, it's like the one guitarist of Soilwork, it seemed he was just concerned with getting chicks, which, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what he, at least he didn't seem like a dick or anything. He seemed pretty cool. He just seems, that's who he was going for. The guy
he was preoccupied.
Exactly.
He had something else on
preoccupied.
His mind.
Hey, he was probably single. You never know. Buzz McGrath seemed mad cool. Jordan Mancino was pretty cool. Who else? The lead singer of Soilwork was chilling out front, just talking with somebody. I think it was one of the touring guitar players or something. The guy from Darkness Divided, you'll hear it in the interview, was mad cool. I was chilling with him for a little bit. So, so going back to the performance, we were right upstage. That's another thing that was cool. I've never been, even when you're at like Starland, you're a good 5, maybe not that far, but like 5 to 10 feet away from them. This one, I was like 2 feet away from the microphone stand. And there's nothing. You know how small the stage is. You could literally just hop up and just grab something.
Yeah. Wow, man. And to think that Puddle of Mud is playing 2 shows there.
And another thing that I was going to say that kind of sucks is, most of these shows that these people play, they have a tour. They have roadies that are helping set up their kit. It looked like a local show, man. I don't know if that was the same for like Soilwork or Unearth. I'm sure for Soilwork it wasn't the same, but
yeah,
it was like watching Wovenwar at a legit local show. Like seeing them set up their in-ear, seeing Josh set up the samples on the on the Mac. Seeing Jordan tune his drum kit, and it was just, dude, it was funny to see this band that you would think has everyone doing all their stuff, and this is that small local show where they have to set up all their shit, which, I mean, it's cool. They didn't seem like they were bummed one bit.
Yeah, that's true. That's awesome, man. Did the lead singer of Wovenwar also play guitar? Because I know that they just lost their guitarist.
No, actually, it was just one guitar and him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they just did the normal, guitar, bass. And you could hear during the solos, it was like primarily bass. I don't think they played samples in the background. If they did, it wasn't predominant. But
wow, that's awesome.
And actually, I don't want to knock them because I kind of get that way at my shows where you kind of shut off people and you get into like a weird mode where you're not as open to people before you go on. He seemed not as open and not as nice as the other members in the band. And Sarah she was like, oh, I don't like him that much. But like I said,
who was this? I'm sorry.
The lead singer of Wovenwar.
Oh, okay.
Shane Blay. But again, I think it was more of he was kind of in the zone. You know how you are when you're like by yourself and you don't want to communicate with anybody, but kind of getting that weird vibe. And
yeah.
I guess after talking with like Josh and Nick, who are just like so open and so cool, and then going to this person who kind of like keeps to himself, you get put off. But
yeah, that's true.
But me being a musician, I kind of understood, and I was like, listen, he's probably in the zone, and I'm sure
auto zone.
Yeah, he was in the auto zone, and it was just kind of like drowning everything out. But who knows? He could have been sick or some shit.
Yeah. Then again, I'm the same way. Like, I really don't want to talk to anyone like minutes before I go on. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me personally. I like to have like complete silence or just like sit down and reflect, as douchey as that sounds. But like just to think, okay, what am I going to do on the stage? Okay, this is what it's going to be. I see this many people in the crowd. What's going to work? What's not going to work? There's like 1.5 million things going in my head, and I pray to God when I get up on stage that I do at least like 2 things out of like 100.
Yeah.
Because like once I get up on stage, it's like, oh fuck, I completely forgot everything. Oh shit, where are the words? Oh my god, the guitar is almost done. Oh my god, I'm coming on. I'm gonna open my mouth. Oh my god, and then it comes out. I'm like, oh, I remember this. So it's just like sheer panic until like the first note comes out.
Yeah, and it's so funny too. When I played that show at the Chance, I mean, I guess from like running around and all that stuff, we don't really warm up before sets. And I think we had one, maybe two songs left. And when he cut us off after the last song, he's like, "You're done." I'm like, "Damn it! I just got warm after that song."
Of course.
But I mean, dude, it's actually it's the one thing we discuss a lot is like being a metal drummer. Dude, like I overheard the drummer of Jordan Mancino talking in an interview. He was like, I think he said he practices for like a good half hour, 45 minutes, and he says he does this in order for him to play his most technical song. So just imagine all your songs being your most technical and you being a local band trying to just go up and just play it immediately.
Yeah, really.
But that's what we do. We don't warm up, but that's also bad for, muscles and shit because, you might be too tense or you might overextend or overuse something. But it's just, especially like with like a setup like Dingbats. You put all your shit in that back room, and they close the door when a band's on, and you can't go to the back room because the band's on. You obviously have to wait till they're done. So it's just like you're put in an awkward position about warming up. That I don't normally do it, but
yeah. I mean, some venues are set up like that. Other venues, you actually have a green room, and other venues, you're basically the green room is your merch area, which completely sucks.
And I was actually surprised. I thought that Stanhope House would have that smaller room open, but actually, you know what? It looks like now they've turned it in just like a chill out section. They have that TV going. Nice. They have that bar. I don't know if that was there when like a year or two ago when they had local shows in that smaller room, but now it's like a legit place for the merch tables. There's that bar and the TV, and it was just like area off to the side, but. Like I said, maybe they're doing that for the bands they're going to be playing there. But, dude, could you imagine if that turns into like a Starland type place?
You never know.
Yeah, but I just don't see it happening because of the size. Like every touring act there had to use the same kit.
Yeah. Because there's really no room. There's no backstage area. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you could set up the drums and then bring them up from the back to the front.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically you have them either out to the side or it's in that back room where you have to walk through a shit ton of people to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, it's funny to see Wovenwar they were literally like hanging out, like walking through the crowd, like going to the bathroom. Nick like walked into the bathroom through like all the crowd and everything. And Alien Ant Farm, they just came out of nowhere. They walked through that side door, like on stage, like you would expect from a normal band entrance.
Yeah.
They're missing until right before, and then they come on. But dude, they were hanging out in the beer garden, getting a beer. Dude, I'm telling you, it was an awesome experience.
Yeah, I mean, to the credit of Alien Ant Farm, the lead singer and I and Chris at the time, we actually sat down and had a beer together. We were just shooting the shit.
So it was just
awesome.
They saved it to afterwards.
Yeah, afterwards they were all hanging out. They were talking with everyone. It didn't matter who you were. You could just go right up to them, and they were a little. I don't want to say holier than thou, but they were basically like, "Oh yeah, thanks, man. Thank you so much." They rehearsed it like a million times, and it wasn't like too genuine, but
I mean, what are you gonna do when you hear it like thousands of times?
Yeah, I can't imagine playing fucking Smooth Criminal night in and night out and not wanting to like fucking murder yourself. I'm just saying, like, nothing against the song or the cover or whatever, and made them who they are, but I mean, just knowing that it's like. Smooth Criminal's up. Here we go for another time.
Yeah. I mean, how do you think it is for me entering in the same shit all day, every day, doing the same boring, mundane tasks every single day? I mean, that's the same thing. At least what they do is, okay, most popular Disturbed song, Down with the Sickness, and Stricken. We put those songs in our set, and then every other song we interchange. So, for the most part, but trust me, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. It's funny. A lot of videos you see. Sometimes the band. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily videos, but you go to a live show and it's like they're kind of boring, and then you watch Five Finger Death Punch play a song in their music video and they're going crazy. It's like, wait, When I saw them at Prudential Center, they were barely moving at all. And now in this video, they're like, that's what I wanted to see live. But it all depends on the night. You know, maybe they're jet lagged from traveling. I don't know. Who the hell knows? But
yeah.
I mean, obviously for a music video, you're more amped and you have to make it look more presentable. But
that's true.
all right.
They are coming around again. They'll be at Prudential Center in November with Shinedown, which is pretty fucking
FFDP.
Cool. Yep.
I don't know, man. I've seen them way too many times.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to go for Shinedown since I've only seen him, I think, once or twice. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I actually have a play I'm going to in New York City.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
I'm going to a Broadway play.
Which one?
I don't remember. I think it's called Dear Zachary.
Dear Zachary. Oh, God.
I don't know. Laura asked if I wanted to go. I was like, yeah, sure. This was back in like April. Next thing you know, this tour gets announced. The Our Last Night, Hands Like Houses tour gets announced for that day. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Can't catch a break.
Dude, if I didn't go on a cruise, I'd make fun of you for going to a play. But when you're on a ship for 7 days and you're gambling and swimming every day, you're like, all right, let's do something different. So we went to some of the shows. They're actually pretty enjoyable. I'm not going to lie. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with Broadway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of those people that I completely hate movies where it's like singing. Like, oh shit, let's stop and I'm all alone by myself cleaning up this restaurant. Let me just stop and fucking dance and sing. You know, I hate that. But when you go to a play and there's people like flipping and doing all this crazy stuff like acrobatics, you know, I enjoy it. There was on the latest cruise I went on, there was a water diving tour show. So they're like diving off these huge beams, into the pool.
Like stuntmen type of deal.
Yeah, so that was sick. But
yeah, it's pretty badass.
Yeah, I kind of if I were to see one, I probably would go see Phantom.
Phantom of the Opera.
I don't know what that's about though. I probably would see the Green. Is the Green Day one still around?
Oh, American Idiot.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
My drum set teacher actually plays on Broadway. I always say I'm going to go and see him play. But I don't know how that works. Like the one cruise, not this cruise, but the one before, the one show they had the band and you could see them. So I'm not sure how it works on Broadway. If you can see, I could have sworn that like
they're in a pit.
Yeah, so the pit is like on the bottom in front of the stage, and above on the actual stage is the So that would
so
be
if anything, you might see the conductor, but that's about it.
Yeah. But he used to play in Jersey Boys. I don't know if he plays in anything else, but
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I hear Jersey Boys was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the movie. The movie was great.
Dude,
but
honestly, I can't stand the music and the high pitched voice, but the movie was great. I'm not gonna lie.
Down for little Frankie Valli.
Oh no, I can't stand it.
You are Frankie Valli or something?
The only reason I say it is nowadays, if there was a dude that was singing like that, everyone would say it's horrible.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is hysterical too, because there's people that like Rush, and then if a modern metal band plays music and sings like that, they suck or they're horrible.
Well, then again, I'm sure Rush went through the same shit.
Yeah, maybe. But back in the day, there was a lot of feminine. There was the way they dressed was feminine. A lot of the music, like Cinderella, you weren't a band unless you had that high high pitched
steel type of voice.
Yeah. But so that's what I mean. I don't know. I guess it's a matter of which band it is, but certain bands you get used to it, or the music is so nasty that you come to love the vocals, and then others are like, all right, that's too feminine and girly for me. But
yeah, that's basically what happened with like bands like Coheed and Cambria or like Circus Survive or even Dance Gavin Dance. Remember that one song I showed you?
Yeah, which was amazing.
Yeah, it was that song is gonna get stuck in your head, but if you haven't heard of Dance Gavin Dance and their singer Tillian, he hits notes with like only dogs can hear sometimes.
Yeah. The whistle. No one hears it, but the dog moves his head.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, honestly, for me, it's different for everybody. For me, it's all about the melody. So I don't care how high pitched, even if it's a chick. If it's like an amazing vocal melody that came out, I'll begin to like the song. So
yeah, that's all that matters. Like,
meh. All right. So do you have anything else to discuss or?
No, not off the top of my head. Do you have any shows coming up? Oh, you have a show coming up, don't you?
In Connecticut on the 2 days after Thanksgiving. It's metal festival.
That's Saturday that I'm actually doing that. I'm going to see that play.
Yeah. So I'll be in Connecticut.
All right. Any
Dead Tide.
venue word or?
No, I think it's like a gymnasium or something. Meh, I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know the full
So
details, but getting out of state for a show is good. It doesn't matter where you're playing.
yeah, that's true. But anyways, you could go to facebook.com/deadtidemetal for all of your Dead Tide needs.
Yep, and Dead Tide Metal on Twitter. You can go to
Yep.
Chrome Celica00 on YouTube and check out our guitarist YouTube channel, which has over 1 million or close to 1 million views.
I think it's over.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Hey, Phil's one amazing motherfucker.
Yeah. You want to know? I don't know if it's a grab. A lot of people like it, but did you see the new video? How it's like happy and like funny, like awkwardly funny. Like it makes
which
like.
one was this?
Did you see the newest video he posted?
No, I didn't.
Because like like the melodic death metal is obviously the keyword melodic, so it could be not, I don't know if you want to say happy sounding, but it's not as heavier or heavy.
Not as dark.
Yeah, not as dark as some metal. So you see him like in certain parts, like he cuts to where he hits the cymbal bell and he's all like got a happy smiley face on, or he's like moving and like bouncing his head back to the side. So he's a little goofy, I could say, but
That's hysterical.
I guess it's there for a laugh. But yeah, definitely check it out and let us know what you think, and like us on Twitter and all that stuff if you haven't, and give us a review on iTunes and
yes, those reviews really
Podbean.
help.
I don't know if we've had an iTunes review in a while, so
We have it. Actually, I think October 6th was the last one. So about 12 days. I forgot. I don't know what days. Today's the 18th. So yeah, 12 days.
yeah. And
That
who
sounds
knows,
great.
if you keep track of our Facebook and social media, you might just get free tickets like we just gave away for Megadeth and was it
And
Disturbed?
Disturbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Disturbed and Chevelle down in Atlantic City, Boardwalk Hall.
Some random person just up and saw it and got free tickets, so you could be one of those people.
All you have to do is subscribe to the podcast, take a screenshot, and when the time is there, post it. And if you're one of the first 2 or 5 or whatever amount of tickets we have, you win. It's as easy as that.
Exactly. All right. So I think this is it for this end of the podcast.
I believe so. And you know what? Let's end it with a song. We're gonna end it with that song that I just talked about. This is Betrayed by the Game by Dance Gavin Dance.
Hit it.